Hey core reporters, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome newbies. Tristan Thompson has filed to be a legal deadbeat to the child that he allegedly fathered by Maralee Nichols. This story is wild, you guys, okay? And there are legal filings to back up what I'm telling you, okay? So stay tuned. So let's cover the filing from the very top, okay? Like, you have to follow the progression of the deadbeatness. So, it's very sadly ironic that when Tristan was served with the lawsuit, he was with his two other children. He's got Prince and he's got True. So he's talking about being with his kids when he was served because, I guess Maralee Nichols is claiming that he was trying to evade being served or something like that. But he says, listen, I thought this chick was paparazzi. Okay, that's why I was, a little bit standoffish and aggressive, like trying to get her away from my house. So he says, and I quote, contrary to the declaration of Miss Kinsley, the process server, the confusion which she did not understand that I was exhibiting was my concern about the paparazzi since my children were close at hand and I was concerned for their safety. How funny is it that he has children in his custody and he is concerned for their safety? Meanwhile, his third one, his newborn, allegedly, is just born and he wants nothing to do with that child. It makes me sick, honestly, okay? Trying to come off as dad of the year here with the other two kids. Meanwhile, for the next one, and we're going to get into it, where he says he wants to be a legal deadbeat to it, he couldn't care less. He hasn't even seen him yet. Continuing along, there are many women paparazzi, so the fact that Miss Kinsley was a woman was of no consequence. I was still concerned for the safety of my children. Since my children are only 3 years old and are very small, listen, can we get into the fact that he's got two children who are 3 years old and they're not twins? Is it true? So I just did some Googling and I found that Prince Thompson is not 3 years old. He's 5 years old. He's 2 years older than True, because I was like, listen, I know Chloe got with him while Jordan was pregnant with Prince, but I know True and Prince are not hood twins, okay? So they're not. Prince is 5, True is 3. So he says they're both 3, but that's not true. But moving along, and are very small, Miss Kinsley could not have seen them. The reason I was standing between the car and the front door of my house was because of the concern I had with my children being there. Given my height, there's no way she could have seen over me. So there you have it. He does spend time with True and Prince outside of the baby mamas and in his own house as well. And so we go from him being the doting father, concerned about the safety of his two other children, to him saying, and I quote, listen, I specifically offered parental responsibility should I be found the father, as if to say, listen, I will admit to being the father if it is in fact true. But what is taking so long? The child was born December 1st. It's now December 15th. Why don't we have proof that he is or is not the father? Maury has these results like much shorter, right? Like within an hour-long episode, all the results are out for multiple different babies. So what's going on? He says, I specifically offered parental responsibility should I be found the father. However, and this is where we get into him being a deadbeat, I have confirmed that if I am found to be the father, that I will not be seeking custody or visitation of the child. Sick, isn't it? Right? Like he is allegedly the father of 3, but for some reason, with this child, just because he's not happy with the mother, he is not willing to even look at the child, even meet the child, even if it is found out to be his own. This is a mini Tristan, if it is in fact his child, and he wants nothing to do with mini Tristan because he's upset that Maralee Nichols is suing him for child support and paternity. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Absolutely wild. Later on, he goes on to claim that she's been disparaging him in the press and stuff, but that's not true. There was a fake Instagram account claiming to be Maralee, putting all of these rumors out there. It wasn't Maralee herself. So even if you're pissed at the baby mama, why take that out on your own child, Tristan? You were there that night that this child was allegedly conceived, and you don't want to take responsibility for that. That to me is so sickening, especially when, he's talking about how, he's got visitation with his other kids, he's got partial custody or whatever, and he spends time with them. He worries about their concern and safety, but he doesn't want to do that for his other child, his third child, his alleged third child. I don't know, like, how does someone explain away something like that? Like, to me, like, he filed to legally be a deadbeat. And again, I have another video on this that I posted earlier, but he's claiming they conceived the child in Texas out of interest, because he says, listen, if this child was conceived in Texas, and these were in the Snapchat messages that he allegedly sent to Maralee, then he would have to pay a lot less in child support. And he's also saying that he's going to be retiring from basketball, limiting his income, so he doesn't really have to pay much in child support for this child. Okay, but then Maralee is also acting out of interest. She hauled ass to move to California and give birth there so that she can get the maximum amount of child support. So it's two very shady, very selfish individuals. Just, I don't know, just not putting the child's best interest at heart. You know, Maralee knew what it was when she got with Tristan. She knew he was with Chloe. She knew she was a shy chick, and I do believe that she plotted to get pregnant. But listen, Tristan didn't have to step out on Chloe. Tristan didn't have to raw dog her and get her pregnant in the first place. They're both a mess, and they're both involved in this. So for the child's interest alone, I hope that Maralee Nichols gets the maximum, which is what is available in California and not what is available in Texas, because in Texas they don't give much child support, you know what I mean? So I really do hope that she ultimately gets as much as she can for their child, if that is in fact their child. Again, how are they even in a paternity suit and all of that if they don't even know if the child is his yet? Just get the DNA test, y'all. It doesn't take that damn long. Anyway, he continues on to talk about like how much he's caring for his other two kids, you know, and it continues to make me sick. He says a little bit later on, after saying he wants to legally be a deadbeat, to have no custody or visitation with the third child, he says, I previously stated to the court that I do own a house in Encino, California, which I purchased in order to exercise my custodial time with my two children, especially during the long period of COVID. Again, how sick is this sounding? You know, you bought a house so you can exercise your custodial time with your other two kids. What makes this third one any different? You know, you cheated on Jordan while she was pregnant with Prince. You cheated on Chloe when she was pregnant with True. And this girl was a jump off that you were using as a mistress to Chloe. Like, so what is the difference, right? Like, you never really cared for any of these children's mothers. So why is it this one in particular that you want to spite? Tristan, it's weird. But moving along, you know, especially during the long period of COVID, since I could not go to any hotels to exercise my custodial time, I had to maintain this house. This house is also for the children's benefit and future. So you're planning for your children's future and everything, but not the other one. I can't, you know. Petitioner has said nothing in her opposition to contest my statements. My right to exercise custodial time with my children is conditioned on the exercise of my time in California in a residence which is suitable for the children. I'm required to exercise all of my custodial time in California. I assert that this does not confer California jurisdiction over me. Further, my purchase of the house and the terms of the trust entity which owns the house is for the future benefit of the children. I contend that these facts also do not confer jurisdiction over me. Further, my payments of child support, both direct and indirect, for the benefits of my two children in California does not make me a California resident. I am entitled to see my children no matter where they live, and it is their residency which requires my presence in California. So again, that's him really fighting against, you know, Maralee Nichols, forcing him to pay by California standards. He's like, listen, I am a resident of Boston, Massachusetts. I have to have this house in California because the baby mamas require me to spend time with the kids exclusively in California. I guess he can't travel with them. Good for the ladies. And yeah, so he's like, listen, that is the only reason I have this, and for the children, but otherwise I am not bound to Californian jurisdiction. So let's take this over to Texas, which is where Tristan had filed, and get you the minimum possible child support. Oh, as the world turns, I have to ask the groupies, because I imagine there are some groupies who watch this channel as well. Is it worth it? You know, there are women who purposely go after these athletes who are dumb enough to raw dog everyone. Is the risk of, you know, all of the STDs, including the incurables, is the risk of having a child like this, where the dad wants nothing to do with it and wants to pay you the bare minimum, is it worth it? Because to me, it doesn't sound like it's worth it, especially when it comes to the child. Sure, Maralee might get a couple thousand a month in child support, but she could make a couple thousand with a proper career. Apparently she's like a personal trainer. She could have been training Tristan and everybody else, right? To make more than what she's about to get in child support, you know, and that's not even counting all of the legal fees that she's currently going through to fight Tristan, and she's going to continue fighting him because I think he's going to make this as difficult as possible for her. Like, why do people do this? Not only to themselves, but more importantly to their children. It's sad. Anyway, you guys, that's it. That's the tea on Tristan filing to be a legal deadbeat to his child, while in the same filing talking about all he does to provide and protect his other 2 children. It's sad, isn't it? Make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.